2024 marks the 20-year anniversary of Guitar Guitar, and every single month we are going to be partnering with some of our favourite brands and really good friends to be celebrating the month of May being Fender focused. And what better way to kick things off with a Stratocaster that we've been waiting for 5 years for. For anybody who's interested in celebrating the 20th anniversary with us, check the link in the description for your local store, because we're going to be doing loads of in-stores, lots of exclusive giveaways and exclusive discounts, so double check the website. But let's get on, check out this absolutely fantastic guitar. For anyone who's a fan of Fender guitars, you'll know that the Fender Custom Shop is the absolute, I guess you'd probably call it like the Mount Olympus, or the absolute, top of the range when it comes to these instruments. Not only are they creating some absolutely sort of forward thinking and what you would consider to be a Fender guitar, like they're doing some really, really cool sort of off the wall designs. They also really obviously pay homage to the history of Fender guitars. You're going to get the most vintage accurate instruments, specifically when it comes to the golden periods, when it with the 50s and the 60s era Strats and Telecasters. And for anybody who knows their, I guess, the hierarchy when it comes to Fender Custom Shop as well, you'll know that there's a few different divisions that they're split up into. Now, I'm not going to go into exactly the differences with these, because we're just going to focus on the top of that range, which is known as the Master Built. Now, what that essentially is it means that with the quite small team of luthiers or master builders in the Fender Custom Shop, that basically a Master Built guitar is one that one person has planned, have R&D'd, and have made from start to finish. The one builder. This particular guitar happens to be one of those, done by Dale Wilson, which is one of the most respected and highly regarded Fender Custom Shop builders in their roster. Now, we've got a lot of custom shop content on the channel, so feel free to check out any of that, specifically if you just want to hear some of those. And actually, we have done an interview with one of those master builders called Paul Waller. A great chat that my colleague Ray had with him, so you can click the link above my head to check that out. But what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at this particular guitar in my lap. Now, as I mentioned right at the start, this is a Fender Custom Shop 1961 Master Built Stratocaster, built by Dale Wilson. The finish here particularly being a black over desert sand, obviously with a heavy relic into it. Now, there's quite a few things about this guitar that really make it stand out from what you would traditionally consider, your 60s Stratocaster. But some of the attention to detail on this guitar is really where it shines as well. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the specs on this. I'm just going to highlight some particular things that I really like about it. And much like all of our other videos, they are split up into chapters. So if you do just want to hear this, then please feel free to check out the timestamps below. You can skip to the sounds. But why don't we just check this out, have a look at some of the specs, and then let's get on with some sounds later. So luckily, as I mentioned, with this being a Master Built and a Custom Shop model, and I'm going to put this very nice guitar just down here very quickly just to show off, because what you get is obviously your nice hard case, and I just want to show off some of the little bits and bobs that you do get with this guitar. Not only an embroidered case there as well, you get yourself a lovely Fender Custom Shop strap there, a catalogue as well, this one being a 2023 model, and I'll get onto why that is in a little bit too, and a couple of extra bits and bobs. I'll let you check them out as well when you maybe make your purchase on your custom shop. But one of the coolest things I think you get is this little leather bound booklet. Not only has it got your certificate in there to show, but it's also got a handy spec sheet, which I'm going to be referring to in this video also. I'm using get that nice guitar back in my lap. Now, this being a 1961 model, there's a couple of things that are already pretty telling about it that you can say from it. It's got the 3 single coils there. It's got a rosewood board. It's got the slightly smaller headstock as well. And actually that slightly shorter trem arm is of the time as well. But we're referencing a very handy cheat sheet. And this is all the specs that Dale Wilson would have been working to when he was building this guitar. But if we're looking, has a alder body, which is a really nice weight to this actually as well. It feels really, really good in your lap. And while obviously we're here as well to really focus on all of the relicking work that's been done to this too. Now, I'm not here to be the judge on whether relic guitars are good or not. That's all up for our comment section to decide on, so let us know down there what you think about them. But this being a nitro paint as well, this is also just going to wear away a little bit more to where you've played. But I guess my 2 cents on relicking is that, you know, specifically when you're going for a guitar like this, which, you know, costs a little bit more of a premium price, shall we say. But this, you know, you'd be scared to dent anything like this. I think one of the things with relicking is that it takes away that fear already, where, you know, if you're going to dent this, or there's going to be all those normal accidents that happen with guitars, then you don't need to be worried about it in that case. Going on to the neck as well, this one has been spec'd with a 65 spec. Now this is kind of nice and rounded on there. It's not as chunky as a 50s one, as I would say, no. Still got a little bit of sort of depth to it, but it's really, really comfy. And of course, it being a satin and relic neck there too, it's just gonna, you know, you're not gonna have any stickiness or any bother with this whatsoever. Then going on to the headstock, of course, that's that really nice sort of tinted color on there also. And then you can see that on the back there as well. I've put it upside down, but that's Dale Wilson's signature just on the back of the headstock. Now, a couple of extra little bits with this. It's always good to refer to the the spec sheet for this, as some of the electronics in here are, again, the top of the pile when it comes to these guitars. We have a Poblano Strat set into this very, very nice red tortoiseshell guard here. These are all hand wired as well in the custom shop, just made to sound, you know, perfect, absolutely perfect when it comes to a 60s Strat. But one of the cooler things about this as well is that with this being a sort of vintage accurate one, you know, there's little bits on it that make it vintage accurate, but there's a couple of other bits that do make it that little bit more modern. One of them being it has a modern Strat control layout on there, where the the bottom tone there, that's actually going to adjust the tone of your bridge pickup. Then the middle one there is going to adjust your middle pickup and your neck pickup, which wasn't originally the script with the electronic setup of a Strat. It used to just be for your middle and your neck there. Master volume, of course, as well. But if we're going back to the pickups, the neck and the middle, very much proper sort of Strat sounding as you would expect. It's sort of the best Strat that certainly I've heard in a while. And then that bridge has actually got flat pole pieces on it, and it has been wound a little bit hotter as well, which it's just setting you up so that this isn't, you know, super vintage sounding, and, you know, you could throw some distortion on it, which I will very much do in a moment when we get to the sounds. And it just gives you a bit more versatility, obviously, as you would want to with one of these guitars. For breaking down a couple of extra little bits on here as well, it's a very, you know, kind of 60s standard 9.5 inch radius with a 25.5-inch scale length. But one of the other little nice notable notes is it has rolled fingerboard edges around that really, really nice bit of rosewood that is on here. And it's got these narrow, tall frets on it as well, which I'm just going to double check that they actually are on there as well. Narrow, tall, nailed it. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into this guitar, and I think one of the main things is that, you know, this was built by one person, And for certain people, you know, certainly guitar collectors or anyone who are looking for that much, much more premium product, then something like this that you know has been meticulously created by one person, that's just quite a cool thing, to be fair. And also, when you get to see the behind the scenes of the custom shop and whatnot, you know how passionate these guys are. Like I said, that chat that we had with Paul Waller, that guy's living his best life right now just in that Fender custom shop. Like, absolutely, day to day, he's going to make some of the coolest guitars out, and then you and me and everybody who's into guitars get to experience them and get to see that passion that really goes into that. So why don't we check out just how these pickups sound on a clean signal. All the sounds you're going to be hearing today coming through our Supro Blackmagic combo, and I've got some effects that are all coming from a Neural DSP Quad Cortex, but this is just going to be completely clean so you hear how these pickups are sounding. As I mentioned, you hear a ton more of what those pickups are capable of when I start throwing some effects and different sort of drives and whatnot on them just in a moment. But that's what you're able to get from the clean with this guitar. Now, personally, I think that's just the absolute just cream of the crop when it comes to Stratocaster sounds. And one thing that you'll particularly hear during the sound demos as well is how dynamically capable this guitar is with those hand-wired pickups there. Just like, you know, it's one of those things where if you just dig in that little bit more, especially in a crunch sound, you're going to get that response from your guitar as well. And obviously your amp plays a huge part into that as well. But I think when you've got such a capable guitar like this, especially for anyone who's a Strat fan and anyone who's a Fender fan, then there's just a level of sort of just like security, I guess I would maybe consider it as, with having this, that you just know that you're kind of covered for all the sounds that you want to. Now, one last thing that I want to touch on, and I guess I should elaborate as well, if you do want to see really all the specs that go into this as well, because there's a few maybe that I haven't touched on as well. You know, it's got like an American vintage style bridge and whatnot on it as well, but there's other little bits and bobs. You can check the link in the description to check this out. But the one thing that I wanted to say, and it's more on the topic of the master builders themselves, is that with these guitars, it's not like it's a case of, you know, you being able to contact Fender and say, hey, I want Dale Wilson to make me a 1961 Stratocaster here. Not because they don't want to, they very much want to, but with the master builders, they're, you know, sometimes these guys can be like so backlogged, you know, up to 6-7 years waiting for certain guitars just because they have a list longer than both arms at this point of guitars that they're making for people. And of course, when it comes to some of the greats in the industry, you know, they might get a little bit more preferential treatment and whatnot, but these guys are just so in demand that even if you wanted that, you'd be waiting for years and years and years. So it's just to go to show, you know, just goes to show, sorry, how just good these guys are at making guitars. And I mean, there's been quite a few Strat fans in the office today, and they've popped their head into the studio while I've had this and just even heard playing a couple of chords and went, oh, I need to get a little go with that. Absolutely. But I'm going to stop waffling on. I'm going to get on with some sounds here. As I mentioned, all of those are coming from a Neural DSP Quad Cortex. And then, yeah, let's round out after that. don't know if you could tell, but I was having an absolute ton of fun with those sounds there. I'm a huge Strat fan as it goes, so I'm a little bit biased when it comes to these kind of videos, but I don't know, there's just something just really cool about getting a guitar like this in my lap, and I just want to play it for hours and hours and hours and hours, and I'm sure you would if you had one as well. Now, looking at these guitars as a whole and rounding up, you know, I'm not saying in any way, and I don't think anybody's saying that not, if you want a Strat, you don't need to go for the absolute top of the range here. You know, this is the closest thing you're going to get to a vintage instrument, I would say, specifically with something like this. You know, this is based off a 1961 Strat. But something like a Player Series, something like an American Vintage, that's going to get you there, absolutely. And they're great guitars, and certainly for what you need it for, you know, that might tick all those boxes as well. And other than craftsmanship and other than the electronics that have gone in here and the relicking and just the craftsmanship being the main one, really, there's not, you know, anything more Stratty about this than any of the other ones. So by all means, if you want to save yourself, you know, several thousands of pounds, then they're absolutely incredible. But if you're in the market for a vintage Strat, say you want like a birth year Strat, or, you know, if you're a huge fan of any of the great Strat players and you want to get that year that they were using one, but, you know, you don't want to pay like 3 times the amount of this for a vintage instrument. And certainly something, as I mentioned, with the more modern electronics in there, hell, the setup on this is probably going to be a lot easier than any sort of vintage instrument. Then this is one of the considerations that I would say, you know, if you're in any way inclined to that, then definitely check out like a Masterbuilt or any of the custom shops, really, for that matter. But yeah, just if you're in any way inclined into one of these guitars, then I would absolutely check it out. But let me know what you think about the Masterbuilt range if you've ever tried one in our comments section below. And hey, while you're down there, give us a like and give us a subscribe. It really does help the channel and we appreciate it. But until next time, I've been Kieran and this has been the Fender Custom Shop 1961 Masterbuilt Stratocaster by Dale Wilson. Have a great day.